BFBS Forces News join KFOR patrols in the north of Kosovo.
We're here to create a safe and secure environment for the people in Kosovo and the people of Kosovo.
Our job, fly and fight from the home base, and we've got to be able to do that in whatever conditions.
This training is mutually beneficial to both sides. For the riflemen themselves, it's about getting that valuable training in the desert.
At the heart of Lympstone Parade Square, the King's Squad, and there could be no more special guest of honour than His Majesty the King.
And whilst I'm not moving the controls at all, I can certainly learn from what I'm seeing as to how a manoeuvre should be flown.
This year, 337 recruits have completed training. That's a first-time pass rate of 99.7%, which is incredibly high.
So we have a philosophy on this ship called the Way of the Warrior Sailor. It argues that in order to create morale, you must love and value everybody.
This beam here came from HMS Indefatigable. The beams from the Armada were eventually integrated into the pub.
At BFBS Creative, we are creative storytellers. We are specialists in unravelling the untold, even from the most difficult locations. We help you reach the audiences you need to reach. From documentary interviews to addressing communication hurdles and crafting your content strategy, we can do it all. We thrive in the toughest environments, ensuring your stories are told brilliantly.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the RAF Storm Shadows channel. I am once again joined by the immeasurably enthusiastic Roman in the commentary box this evening, Roman. And as you can see on your screens there, it is the RAF Storm Shadows taking on the Army Esports side. A fascinating insight into what we might come to expect in the inter-services. But for tonight, it's the Armed Forces Dungeon League. Let's get this show started.
Carries this forward, gets 50 with Fraz. Ed, get into that one. Envy tucks it away. And as I say, they need an opening goal. They have managed to get one here, 1-0.
Frazic, though, does some nice defensive work. But P finds Cedric. Cedric finds Envy. Beautiful stuff from the RAF Storm Shadows. 2-0.
Approximately a minute and a half left to go. Envy goes for a pass to P. P with a shot. P with a goal. Tucked away in the top left corner. 2-1 to the RAF Storm Shadows. And they are shining through here after the Army. They've struggled to rotate. They struggled to get into position after kickoff. And P managing to give the RAF Storm Shadows that advantage.
Didn't have a lot to work with, didn't have a lot of the goal to aim at, but he put it in the one place that it was going to go to, and Cedric makes it 3! And the floodgates are beginning to open here for the RAF Storm Shadows. A great 30-second burst, and now they've just got to hold it, or even go for more.
Air power wins matches in Rocket League, and you can't tell me otherwise, as Ed will tuck that one away, and the Storm Shadows have the advantage here with 3 minutes left to go. Nothing about air superiority there. P just managing to get a pass across. A very strong 50 indeed, and Ed had an entire net to tuck it away. 1-0 to the Storm Shadows, and the Army, they've been crumbling since game 3. To control this one and take it downfield, intercepted immediately by Ed, and this pressure from the Storm Shadows has been relentless, and Envy, the man from Cosford, will tip this away to make it 2-0, and almost an improbable comeback for the Army to try and pull off with 90 seconds left to go. The way they've been playing, the RAF Storm Shadows, they're currently unstoppable.
The RAF Storm Shadows, an incredible goal. They've done it again, and it's 2-0 now, and it's 3-0 now. The lead looking unassailable.
Gives Ed some time here on the sidewall. gets it up. P is on the backboard lurking. Is Ed going to get this one away? No, but Envy's going to be there. Envy's going to tuck it away. It's 4-1 to the RAF Storm Shadows. Rose-tinted glasses are on, and I don't care. It is game over. The RAF have trampled the army. 4-1, could be 5-1. I don't care what the scoreline is. It's going to be game over with 1:06 left to go.
You're going to have me in the commentary box. I'm going to be hyping the boys the entire time, not just the Storm Shadows, the Sentinels and the Shadows as well. As this game comes to a close with almost P tucking away a very nice shot there, just drops at the death. Storm Shadows 3, the Army Sparrows 1, and well, the Storm Shadows did it in fashion late on.
Hi, I'm AS1T Stelios Elia. In-game, I am known as SE1997.
Corporal Elliot Greenwood, and in-game I'm known as G-Wood.
My name is AS1 Tech Edward Nussy-Waite, otherwise known as Cedric in-game.
It's already looking like they've upped the bar from last year, which is a really tough job to even do that. We are looking forward, not just myself, but as a team, to going out on that stage and representing the Royal Air Force as best as we can.
Playing up on a stage like this is the first time. We had a thing called Rank A, where it was all the top players played against each other, and then we picked our teams. I've finally made it into the first team after a lot of hard work.
Both my teammates are really talented. We gel super well. Really looking forward to playing with them on stage and seeing what we can do.
From my end, the leadership were outstanding, no issues at all.
Not just from my own personal line management, but also the Royal Air Force Esports Association backed us very well, I should say, and made sure we had all the support we needed to get here, and they're always a phone call away if we do need them for anything.
Really excited to play Coast Guard. It'll be closer than everyone thinks after playing, then we think we stand a bit of a fighting chance.
The second Air Force team, emphasis on second there. We're a solid team, 3 really good players who could do some damage for sure.
Although we are in different forces across NATO, we are colleagues, so it's nice to meet them in person and just have a laugh and play against them and hopefully beat them as well.
You ready? AFG, you're washed.
Coast Guard, you ain't as good as you think you are. We're coming for you.
Space Force, stick to mini golf.
We're going to win it.
No, we're not.
We're going to win it. We're going all the way.
I thought it was good until I saw them play. The Americans will never hear the end of it if we end up winning somehow.
Look, I'll shake on it. You know me, I don't drink. I will drink heavily if we win.
That the pressure put down. Stelios with no boost thrown into corner will be wildly out of position. G-Wood needs to put it to the air. Don't go towards net on this one. Instead, Cedric go for the double touch. It's a beautiful finisher. 19 seconds into OT, and the RAF already going to match point.
That's right, boys. Once again, I'm joined alongside none other than Stelios. Stelios, at the very start of that match, you pointed out the fact that the strategy was aggression, was confidence. Do you personally feel like you guys delivered on all fronts?
Yeah, it was a series that we just stuck to the plan and executed it to perfection. I felt really good myself. I felt the other boys also played their part individually, and then we executed the plan as a team together. It was almost perfection, which means we've got to live up to that in the next round as well. So we can't just rest on our laurels. We've got to take it forward.
Well, for you personally, you were the first one to score goals across, I think, 2 or 3 of those matches that we saw there as well. Was that part of the game plan for you to be the force of nature, as it were, in this matchup?
I'm certainly a force of nature, but usually not in front of goal. It's usually Cedric or G-Wood that are bagging the goals when it counts. However, the way we're set up is, it doesn't matter who has the chance to score. It could be any one of us. The way we play, we create spaces for anyone to score. And it just so happened that it was me that was in the prime position to put it in the back of the net, and thankfully I did.
Half, but not for too much longer. Sentinels have broken free, although only momentarily. Now into the retreat. Cedric and Asher, not for the first time today, failing to meet the problem at the source.
That's Cedric though. Air gets just the tiniest of the resets on that ball, but it pushes it just over the edge where Asher cannot grab it.
And there's an equal response from Sames. Asher in the interception, but straight to G-Wood. Oh, and he shoots just past the post. Stelios! 2-2 at last. Another sucker punch. How strong is that proverbial jawline? And actually, you can see the severity of the situation. There's no smiles. And Sames Again, waits it out. Stelios now looking for Cedric. Oh, that's a beautiful layoff.
For Storm Shadows, of course, we're going to be showcasing the other lower bracket match as well. It's going to be coming up on your screen later on. Just a quick comment where there's only one life for the team and there is no field for mistakes.
I feel like it's easier said than done. I also worry that this might be too simple a statement to make of the situation, Jam. For the Sentinels, is it really as clear-cut as get it? And all the while, time being burned off the clock. Still 2-1 Sentinels, but that's going to change very quickly. I feel like I put on my crown, Jam. The King of Cursed is back.
For Shaman as well to look and demo or bump the player out of the way. Not on that attempt. I'm pretty sure Storm Shadows will be thinking about it. That's certainly one thing on Cedric's mind though. Golds, golds, and more golds.
And Cedric actually just lays off, allows Samez the room, but then wiggles his way through all on his own. Cedric to G-Wood! It's a save, but it's not enough! 2-1 Storm Shadows!
The ball caroms off the oncoming player with a series-winning goal scored just 30 or so seconds before the end of the game. It is the Royal Air Force Storm.
Spirited a performance as that was. Let us not forget that they have now tripled their game output in a single. Do apply. And that resource will eventually run out in the form of boost. Oh, very sneaky from Cedric. Lovely flick over the top of everybody. Oh, it's a spectacular from Cedric.
Space Force just a little bit. Exchange of long-range efforts, but I do love the proactivity and Reed's shot. Cedric denies it. Crossbar post out.
That is fortuitous. And now they're down the other side with a potential opportunity. G-Wood snuffed at the near post. 3 minutes plus! And they don't need the 3 minutes plus, just shy of. Cedric with a stunner. And it's match point for the Storm Shadows. Doubling up now. This suits Space Force just fine. 1-0 advantage. A slender one, yes, but one nonetheless. And Space Force relying a lot more on demos, but who needs demos, Jam? Where you've got G-Wood, what a redirect. Yeah, sometimes you got to throw that experience out the window and play the game in front of you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once more to the RAF Storm Shadows channel, where you once again join us for another evening of inter-service Rocket League action. Yesterday was a night to remember for a certain few teams. For the Vulcans, it was a special night, their debut game. We had the Shadows rivalry with them brewing up nicely as well, and we had the Storm Shadows doing what they do best on the inter-service level. Joining me once again this evening to enjoy the action and wrap up who we think is going to qualify for the top 8 is none other than the legend of the RAF Storm Shadows channel, Danny Boy. Welcome back to the stream, brother.
Well, thank you very much. I think legend's certainly pushing it as a descriptive word here, but in terms of that top 8 here, I think the RAF Storm Shadows may be looking towards that legendary status itself, Stelios, in terms of defending their title. But it seems to be what should be the headline more than just themselves here. It is an all RAF top 4 for the first time any of the inter-service one branch has reached that particular status in question. So arguably, I think there's actually a lot more to dive from this particular paddling section of the pool here.
That is indeed the case, and as you say, top 4 for the first time in inter-service competition as a whole in the qualifying stage, largely due to the Army not having any teams representing in this particular qualifier. It's what it is. Like service life happens, the deployments. I mean, for example, as you already know, this is the RAF Tempest final appearance as a team. They won't actually be at the LAN due to all players basically being away. So, you know, it can happen, and it can happen to any of the teams, RAF, Army or Navy. And they will look to be rebuilding for the 2026 season, the RAF Tempest. So this is their almost farewell for the year, and we'll see you in 4 months type situation. But in terms of a quick look at yesterday's events, then the schedule for tonight looks like the following. So right now, the RAF Storm Shadows and RAF Tempest are playing the winners' final off stream alongside this losers semi-final between the RAF Vulcans and the RAF Shadows, who will then progress to the losers' final, where they'll meet the loser of the winners' final, and then of course the winner of that goes through to the grand final. So three games for you here live on stream tonight, and Of course, the grand final being a best of 7. Now, Danny, of course, on paper, it should be a Storm Shadows Tempest finale tonight, but we've seen on more than one occasion the Tempest can be beaten.
Yes, I'm just somewhat sitting back here, and I was, when sitting in the green room here still, and just jotting my notes down, and I looked at it and sort of going, what's the possibilities happening? I think the RAF Storm Shadows should win outright here, but I think, that line in terms of, who can do it, who can win it here, there is going to be a team that's probably likely to be the Tempest here. And Paper got more, say technical ability to put at least a test here in front of them. If it's the Shadows, I think that's going to be a more harder task for them if they do reach the grand final.
Technical ability is a good way to put it, but Danny, we've seen on more than one occasion that it's not been the be-all and end-all. Like we saw famously this year, the RAF Tempest succumbed to the RAF Shadows in that AFEI qualifier for the event in Germany just gone by, and you saw what the Shadows went on to achieve in Germany. A very respectable level, obviously knocking out the Navy as well, which was huge from an inter-service perspective. But sometimes mechanics are not everything, and there are players, for example, on this Vulcan side that have unbelievable mechanics. But if you can't translate that into solid threes gameplay, then you're in serious trouble. And I think for the Vulcans especially tonight, in this first series, that's going to be the key. Can they play a little bit slower? Can they play a little bit less panicked? Time will tell, of course, but I think for the Vulcans' perspective, that's what they've got to be focusing their attention tonight, which is relaxing on the ball, not committing too many players into one attack or defensive maneuver, and go from there. I think the RAF Rocket League scene is their oyster. This Vulcan side can go very, very high. They just need to work on it.
Yeah, it's one of the few teams here, and we're individually here. I mean, we've seen it. Whether it's the Army, the RAF, the Orcas, or even the veterans community. Different teams, different moves across here. I think the Falcons, in terms of this iteration, on paper, has been the most impressive through 3-4 years. Of we've seen from teams, shall we say, maybe from the lower echelon, because we don't expect, shall we say, an RAF Storm Shadows to come out of nowhere. They have to start at the bottom. Yes, they're going to be teething issues, but in terms of what we witnessed, say, yesterday against the Shadows, I mean, it could have been plausible enough to sit here and say could have beaten potentially, or will be from Monday onwards here, the second best RAF team yesterday.
Yeah, that is a good observation. As of tonight, as soon as this tournament ends, the RAF Shadows automatically come into the second spot for within the RAF rankings. That's an incredible. It was their highest ever position, I believe, as we get things underway. Then it is best of 5 here in the lower semi-final, as the RAF Vulcans and RAF Shadows do battle once more. It is Sully, it is Lord Vile, and it is Prof Too Easy. No EJ tonight. He's had to sadly withdraw from the proceedings tonight due to a family outing, which can happen. One that came out of his awareness, and I wonder what will be going through the mind of Prof Too Easy. A lot of pressure on him tonight, stepping in for his first start from, I say first proper start from the get-go in a series. And, filling in for the likes of EJ is going to be tough. And there's a first shot on net. It is Logan LW, love that name, by the way, who opens up the scoring here for the RAF Shadows.
Certainly is one goal to be moving across here, but I think back in 2023, I think AJ, when he was one IC and a few others back at that time, when the chit chat was back around here, is describing Stelios as the Peter Drury of the commentary world here, describing it as your first start ever here. I don't think there's any more suiting from those words to come out of your mouth still. Yeah, I mean, nothing more nerve-wracking than your opening game in a knockouts or phase really at this point. To come out here playing against essentially here, no disrespect to the Tempest, but you might as well get used to the second best team on paper.
Yeah, exactly that, and they've had a baptism of fire over these last 2 days, have the RAF Vulcans, but they've stuck in there well. They've lived with the RAF Shadows. They haven't quite got the better of them yet, but you get the sense, Danny, the sense that this rivalry between the Shadows and the Vulcans may blossom, and of course, don't forget, that will include the RAF Hurricanes, who also have a brand new additions to their roster. which they'll be looking to exercise. I mean, unfortunately for them, their inavailability for this particular qualifier means they won't be at the LAN. I believe on paper, the RAF Vulcans have actually leapfrogged them. Of course, the maths will be done tonight as soon as this qualifier is done, and we will be announcing in the inter-service Discord exactly which teams from which services will be at the inter-service qualifier. So stay tuned for that, and all the the backlash is the wrong word. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm after. You know, from that calculation tonight, we've got to do a lot of maths, a lot of rules need to be looked at. But I believe Vulcans will be there. But the Hurricanes are also in that shout as well. You know, it's the first time in RAF Rocket League history that the bottom 3 teams, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, are this close in ability.
They certainly are. There's teams here we've seen glimmers of, but I mean, the RAF's Tempest, I mean, at one point with a total match, but I got a few games of the RAF Storm Shadows, and you know what, that night you thought maybe there might be this sort of twist in the tail. Wasn't to be, of course, as that double touch will be going slightly too wide here, but somewhat the biggest issue, if you want to call that, I'll always refer to it as a nice problem to have. The RAF Shadows, I'm not saying they haven't improved. They obviously have the experience, the sort of the solitude, the sort of the vigor, the fight the way that they do at times here. They never have that sort of never die attitude, which is hard to get in a roster. They're going to have that sort of unusual sort of target on their back to the point where everybody, you know, one of them is the underdog, cheering them, to some extent being the villain really of preventing teams from going to lands now. So they're not going to be fans or favourites of anybody anymore.
That's a really interesting observation, as that one from Doromus flies into the top corner, but it was a good save. And away comes Sully now, dribbling 1 versus 1 with Logan. Beats Logan. Roman does recover his car in time though, and finds Logan again on the counter-attack. But it's a very interesting way to put that, as that one looms dangerously above the Vulcans' net, and it's somehow saved by Sully. And you're right, it's going to be them preventing people going from lands this time around, and it's their position to lose. Now, of course, the Tempest are looking to reform in January, and with the likes of Cash and Uber and many other, you know, VVUQ, Tokyo Tiger stuff from last season, all joining the RAF alongside Stainley as well. You know, there'll be 2 more teams, so we could be looking at 6 RAF teams next season, as it currently stands. But until that point, the Shadows have 2nd spot to defend, and even when those teams do get there, they must be challenged and defeated for that 2nd position. And you're right, Danny, it's a position they're not used to being in. So it'll be interesting to see how they will react to it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you just have to sit back and, you know, as a competitor-wise, when you know, you're the number 1 seed, you sort of you know, terrified that everybody's against you. But hold up a second here, because we're talking about that sort of uphill battle. Well, so far here, the Vulcans has decided to show up in the last few seconds.
That's a fine finish by Sully, and it did take 4 minutes and 55 seconds for, well, 4 minutes, I can't do the maths, 47 seconds for the Vulcans to have any real, you know, clear sight at goal, but they converted the chance crucially, and now we head to our first overtime of the evening. If, of course, that one lands hits the floor. It does. And Daniel, I'll let you take us through.
Thank you very much here. And the big for it all has to be credit, of course, to the Vulcans themselves, who necessarily put that particular goal on target that the Shadows failed to defend here. And as much as we've been talking about that sort of difference at the battle, the attitude, the mental, it's all again still the physicality onto the pitch that's going to be shown here in Logan, who, you know, at one point here, dropped from the 2nd team, went down the rankings, got himself back up here, and you know, if anybody in that sort of lineup would be the best person to show and use that experience right now here against a side that's hungry for it, well, that's certainly going to be the Vulcans playing against as Roman butchers that defensive clear. That should have been off the line.
What a twist in the tale here. The story of this game one, this dramatic game one, was that of pure shutout domination from the Shadows. They had all the pressure, they had all the chances to score, they didn't make it count, and the Vulcans coming back from the dead at the last second to level things up. And in overtime, dramatically. Sully bags his brace of the game. A bit of a failed attempt at a save from Doromus, but it happens. It can happen in these high-pressure scenarios. Who would have thought it at the start of the night, Danny? It's the Vulcans who take first blood.
And you know what, if you compared it, no more than 24 hours ago still, I mean, it was until game 2 before even the Vulcans got their game onto the board as well here. So, I mean, it was this massive blowout, suddenly became much more sort of tighter. Now, that debate on whether EJ, while it's going to be in the roster, or progress with his starting lineup, you know, how good is he going to be in the move off? But in EJ's case, I would be actually worried here that he might be losing his spot if the Professor decides to show up even more here.
This is true, and it's a horrible mistake that time from the Grey Man. Just nicks it into his own net. An awkward clearance from Logan. They're shot by Prof too easy. And the Grey Man had to get across, had to get something on the ball. But the Shadows fall behind early in game 2 here. And they are facing elimination if things do not improve, and improve quickly for them. Who would have thought it? The Vulcans are in prime position.
And you know what, to spare a thought here potentially as well, you know, as the calculations that are on this evening, we don't know how the results will end up here, but if the likelihood of the Tempest losing their upper match, maybe play the Vulcans and then go on to lose to them here, you know, does the Shadows' potential spot for the inter-service look in jeopardy here?
Oh, who knows? That's going to be the mathematics that are going to have to happen after this game. It's a lovely touch by Logan centre, but Charlie Lord Vile is there. It's an awkward bounce that the Grey Man has to deal with, and he does very nicely there, Steve. That is experience and composure to control that ball. And that's a disgusting second touch by Sully, and it didn't find the back of the net. Lord Vile follows up. It's 2-0 to the Vulcans, and they have all the momentum here, but look at this second touch. Almost found the back of the net. It would have been a glorious goal. And Lord Vile at the far post, 2-0.
You know what, here, the Shadows may be very sportsmanlike at the moment here. Doubt the comms, however, would be showing exactly that as well too. But my word, the pass was good, don't get me wrong here, but I don't often, you know, credit the technique either as well for the shot here. Past the keeper, moved across here, tipped away here for the save here. As much as we talk about the Shadows playing, you know, from behind at times, they're going to have to do it 3-0 down.
It's a position that they are not used to being in against the RAF Vulcans. It's almost, it almost does not look like the same series as yesterday. It was all Shadows, and to be fair, it started that way, but the Vulcans have overturned it. And as Charlie Sierra says in the Twitch chat, where have the AFEI Shadows gone? Typically, we know that they can sometimes start slowly, and maybe the Vulcans have just upped their game. They have been in coaching as of yesterday, taking in notes and analysing their gameplay from the first day of the inter-service summer qualifier. So maybe the improvements are beginning to show. They look like a much more composed team than yesterday.
To put it very kindly here, there is the tie line itself. The RAF Shadowed is being shadowed. You know, the Vulcans are literally doing what, you know, Shadows does the other teams. This is the must be the scariest sort of series for them. They're being outplayed by their own game.
This is true, and it's scary times here. As Lord Vile goes up, the Romans has to get it, and does. But no sign of threat at the moment from the RAF Shadows. The Grey Man had a glimpse of a chance, and he almost made it count. But other than that, there's been nothing to even look like the Shadows are going to make a comeback. But we all know in the commentary box here, and the players on the pitch, in fact, they probably don't know the Vulcans actually, but the Shadows are never to be counted out. Even at 2-0 down in the series, who knows what they are capable of. They can easily come back. They've done it on countless occasions, and they won't be. That's the crucial part of this study. They won't be scared. They won't shy away from the situation that they're in. They will fight it tooth and nail. And if any team is capable of a reverse sweep in this exact scenario, it is the RAF Shadows.
Certainly is, and you know what, I know we've been somewhat here talking about the freakiness of the evening so far here. The way the Falcons have been playing here too, you know, one man back if not two at times, you know, cutting the rotations, moving across. Yes, the odd double came up, we just saw one there actually. But they're actually playing it's as much. When do I give? I very rarely ever give a compliment to a team, and that's the moment they decide to make the mistake out.
A bit of over eagerness there by Lord Vile, and it is a route back into it for the Shadows potentially. It's 3-1. It's a chink in the armor of the RAF Vulcans defense that has been really good thus far. But again, we've got to credit the Vulcans. They've been a different team this evening. And the Shadows, okay, maybe they're taking the time to adjust to it and work out an ad hoc plan on the spot to keep them down and to get their pressure back on track. As Roman looks to flick in field, it falls to Logan. Logan with a good beat. Low fire on the backboard though, only as far as the Grey Man, whose 50 is very nice. Grey Man again looks to beat Prof too easy. Prof keeps his call, looks infield towards his teammate Charlie. The Grey Man cuts and Roman completes a clear, and he will chase this one down and he will attempt the center. Crucially, Roman gets the boost. Logan onto that backboard. Sully misses. Prof too easy has to be there again, and thankfully he is. And the miss allows the Vulcans to escape that pressure as we head into the final minute of play.
You don't really need to outright escape it either with somewhat a goal buffer or that or OT, because you can just simply, park the bus here, boot the ball long, and then just hold the ground position as much as you can here as that ball just gets tipped further away here past one. It's actually a shot. He's forced the keeper right up here, and the Vulcans is not eager or bounce on. This is not, a young team that's got a secretness of experience whittled through its core here.
Up goes the Grey Man into the dying embers of game number 2. Lord Vile beats Thromus to it. Logan. That's a nice interception by Lord Vile. He will just collect the boost and leave it for Prof. And they're playing with so much more trust in themselves as a team now. I think I've seen 1 or 2 double commits, but that's it. Yesterday, they were all over the place with those double commits, but it's a massive improvement and fair play because they sat down and analysed their gameplay and are now 1 game away from a loser's final and a top 3 finish. And that is incredible for a team that's been only a team for a couple of days. Who would have thought it? 3 match points to the RAF Vulcans.
It's not often we get to sort of sit here and have that outright surprise off. And I mean, Joe, I'll say it now here, and I might be early here. I don't think the Shadows have the right to call themselves the second best team. Not based on that performance. I think the Vulcans will actually take them in a token match in a best of 7.
Well, that is also an option. The Vulcans now, like any other team, do have access to token matches, so that's also a shout for them. But, it's not over yet. There's still time on this clock. There is still time for the Shadows to bring us back. And famously, they've done so on more than one occasion against teams on paper better than the Vulcans. So, it's an incredible position that they find themselves in. 0-2 down and 0-2 up if you're the Vulcans player. Whoever keeps their call the best now has all the cards. And you have to say, Danny, I do agree with you in one sense of the word there. It is the Vulcan series to lose. Can they do it? Let's find out.
Not often. We weren't expecting a surprise here at such an early stage of the day 2 sense of the broadcast here, but strange things do happen, and sometimes magical things do occur. And right now, Roman and Logan and Steve just help themselves onto the line here, and what will be intriguing here, what seems to be already evident after about 20 seconds here, the Shadows are happy to some extent here to turtle into the 18-yard box and play one sort of touch gameplay, which is okay. But what is essentially saying is that we're scared of the Vulcans' attack here.
They've come out swinging. As we can confirm an update, the RAF Storm Shadows have defeated the RAF Tempest 3-0 in the other game off stream, which means the winner of this game will play the RAF Tempests in the lower final. That will also be a best of 5 that's coming at you live straight after this series is through. And it's a bit of a cagey start now. Much better from the RAF Shadows. They haven't conceded. They're looking a little bit more sure about themselves and are now looking to invite the pressure so they can counterattack. But so far, the Vulcans haven't fallen into that trap and have remained solid in defense themselves.
Another nice backboard raid here with Logan, however, not getting the touch and not necessarily convinced here by the Shadows' positioning here. It's almost like sort of that shoelace where you're being taught for the first time when you're about 5 or 6 here, under the tree and back around, but near enough finding themselves, near enough dangling themselves to the point where they're tripping here. But the Vulcans, to be fair to them, we've been saying it all night long here how well they have been playing, and this isn't happening. This has to be a dream.
Potentially, and Steve looking to wake the Shadows out of that nightmare with that individual bit of play, and it was a lovely attempt, but it didn't find the back of the net. The creativity coming from the grey man, you love to see it. And a couple of years ago, he wasn't making any plays like that. He's improved so much, and he's put so much time and effort into it, alongside living a busy family life, being a father. And you have to credit the grey man for that. He's a true credit to our community for sure.
Are you saying that was a cold play?
No. No. And what is a cold play, though, is that massive punt downfield by the RAF Falcons. It was Lord Vile with the punt, and it just found its way into the back of the net, and it's been the story of the series so far for the RAF Shadows. They just haven't been able to get going fully.
No. And that's going to be the bit that will frustrate yourself as, either a player or as a team, as well as, when you are, in quotations, better, you should be able to dictate, you should be able to trust your ability, you should be able to, show what you're worth. The Shadows haven't been close to that, and they may feel like that this is a, injustice to them here so far, maybe from what they made some of the comments tonight here, but they'll know themselves that this is not them, and they've arguably let themselves down here tonight.
It can happen to any team, and Tempest will tell you they've experienced it before, and it could be the Shadows' turn to experience a bit of an underperformance tonight. And as Gobby says in the chat, you're only as good as your last series. It's a good way to look at things. It's a good way to have a positive mindset for improvement. If you can be better in the next series as you are from your last, that's all that can be asked of you as a team, I think. And that pitch goes downfield, and Logan will control it, and he will attempt to restart an attack to rescue something for the RAF Shadows. So they need some kind of inspiration, they need a moment, an individual bit of brilliance, a lucky deflection, anything to spark them back into life, because it has been RAF Falcons. And that's to their credit. Again, I've said it before, but they look a different team entirely, do the RAF Falcons.
Certainly so, and that sort of spark of the life here. When you're on the guillotine, you need that, shall we say, reprieve itself here. 2-0 down in the series. You look down and dust at 1-0 in game 3. You look a goner. Right now here, the Shadows are chasing themselves here. They've got that goal. Now can they make it really count with the remaining 70-odd seconds?
There is the spark that we spoke about. There's some element of life now inside the RAF Shadows. That's a good touch by Sully. Can he get the double touch of the back ball? No, he can't. Logan was there. Doromus beats Lord Vile to it, and the Grey Man will march forward. Nice first touch. Looked for the bump. Instead, it was Sully removing Doromus out of that offensive rotation. Looking for a flick touch. Couldn't quite get it. The Grey Man takes over the play and slightly bumped away by Logan there. And Doromus will look to have a shot on goal. It's underneath two Falcons players, but they do enough just to get the ball away.
Still poised though. Shot, mind you, wide here. The Vulcans, low boost, low clear, counting total here. Should be a quick jump up, no save. And the Shadows, for the first time, at least in this particular game here, has a chance to sneak one on the board.
And is that the first time in this series, Danny, that they've taken the lead? I'm pretty sure it is.
I think so too. Even if we are wrong, psychologically, it will feel like it is the first team, so it would really matter.
True, and they have something to defend, and historically the Shadows have been excellent at defending just that. And just when you see that, they have an element, a spark of light, a rare mistake, a rare error from Logan, who's been a picture of composure and brilliance for this RAF Shadows side throughout his career for them. Just when you least expect it, makes an error, opens up the space for Lord Vile, and he converts from close range. It's 2-2, and we are heading for overtime again.
Well, the former Tempest man trying to find and play against his former roster many a moons ago. Now currently, as you're rightly saying here, looking OT and just trying to scave off elimination, at least from this qualifier's wheel, with an open net. Should be banging out there, and Logan drops it right across. And if that was shot with any bit of power, it would have been 3-0. A sweep and elimination, as simple as that.
Prof too easy. That one just ricochets away to the left-hand side. Doromus bumped, and up comes Lord Vile. The Grey Man has to deal with it. Lovely fake by the Grey Man. That's what you like to see. Composure in defense in those high-pressure scenarios. Logan now. Just boots the ball out wide. Prof too easy, re-centers, gets the bump on Daromas. Danger here for the RF Shadows, but the Grey Man there again.
Gotta love that. Got the bump and two of them still waiting, and Sorgo and Joe Watt will wait for a better opportunity. That's what the Vulcans did. Double commit shot looking somewhat on target. Wayward, mind you. Logan to tip it on wide, but not able to tip it further than the halfway line.
Lord Vile, can he get a double? He can get the second shot onto the net. But there's a good save by Logan, who covered the double. He read the double, was alive to it, and he keeps the Shadows alive here in this lower semi-final. 2-2. This match poised on a knife edge as Logan just deflects that backwards for his teammate as Prof too easy plays it back. Lord Vile with a nice first touch will chase this, goes for a sidewall. Can he land it? Joe just ahead of his car bonnet.
Prof. And Sully's up here, and Steve's got no booze, and he's missed it. Vile should be looking for the double. Sets it up. Logan's now awkward for the sweep. Off the crossbar. Sully backs away. Vile probably sitting all the way back pass like that. Oh, that takes stones, and if the Shadows are looking at that and won't be thinking about it, but if they were properly, they'll be going, you cheeky so-and-so.
Late drama, and the Shadows are just about hanging on here. The Grey Man scampers back for boost. Sully takes over the play. Looks to go for a third touch, but the Grey Man read the play but didn't have the boost to actually make the clearance, and that one ricochets again to the centre. Logan in towards the Romus. That's good combination play, and that is desperately unlucky. The Shadows ignites to life here, but the shot, after a great move, lands onto the crossbar.
How good is your nerve, Vulcans? You've been putting the pressure on your opposition, but will you defend for two? One chance they've got away with a Prophet on the way back here. Soft touch. We should be looking to pop it, or air dribble double commit. And it seems to be no option available for the Vulcans either. Sully to essentially play the ball forward. And, well, Logan, well, is the old temperament there flaring up perhaps?
The Grey Man finds shot onto net. Daromas keeps the attack alive. Flicks towards Sully, who does get there. Lord Vile to give chase alongside the Grey Man. Just inside the Vulcans' half, as the Grey Man looks to pass to Logan, but the two not quite linking up as they would have liked. So another shot. Logan attempting the bump on Lord Vile. Daromas has to force him high, and it's a good challenge by Daromas. Smart play, shutting down the mechanical player pretty much instantaneously, but that's a loose ball. Sully's there, and it's into the back of the net. And it is the RAF Falcons who upset the RAF Shadows in only their second day as a team. And they progress through to the lower final to face the RAF Tempest. And who would have thought it? The Vulcans progress.
Just when you think sort of this game is done, when there's very little stories that could be written, well, we were wrong about 2 months ago. What could be happening, who was going to Germany, the Shadows Tempest is gone. Suddenly the Tempest middle of the BFBS competition, the RAF Storm Shadows top 4th in Germany. You know, what can the Shadows do, be the springboard? Well, suddenly they're now under the trap door. Vulcans found that one quite nicely, but you know, the performance, everything they've done here was exactly what you want from a new team. Play smart, play calm. You know, take your time here. Don't go all in when you don't have to, and when you've got a lead, hold on to it. You know, as a first team, you know, type performance here, essentially, you've got to sit here and say they've been the best, you know, ever RAF team in terms of an opening show.
Yeah, I think that's hard to argue against. A fantastic performance, and they progress through to the lower grand final, which we will be bringing to you live in just about 5 minutes.
BFBS Forces News join KFOR patrols in the north of Kosovo.
We're here to create a safe and secure environment for the people in Kosovo and the people of Kosovo.
Our job, fly and fight from the home base, and we've got to be able to do that in whatever conditions.
This training is mutually beneficial to both sides. For the riflemen themselves, it's about getting that valuable training in the desert.
At the heart of Lympstone Parade Square, the King Squad, and there could be no more special guest of honour than His Majesty the King.
And whilst I'm not moving the controls at all, I can certainly learn from what I'm seeing as to how a manoeuvre should be flown.
This year, 337 recruits have completed training. That's a first-time pass rate of 99.7%, which is incredibly high.
So we have a philosophy on the ship called the Way of the Warrior Sailor. It argues that in order to create morale, you must love and value everybody.
This beam here came from HMS Indefatigable. The beams from the Armada were eventually integrated into the pub.
At BFBS Creative, we are creative storytellers. We are specialists in unravelling the untold, even from the most difficult locations. We help you reach the audiences you need to reach. From documentary interviews to addressing...
So then we do go straight back into the action, and as we described just before that very short break, it is the RAF Tempests taking on the newest side of the RAF Falcons, in this lower final. We are going to get straight into the action, Daddy. I mean, they must be on a high, the RAF Falcons, surely. They must be on a high right now, and they must look to ride that momentum if they're going to have any chance to take on this RAF Tempest side, who are a different beast entirely.
Do you know why we sat here and said before a ball was kicked, you thought maybe 3-1 Shadows, and we'll have the usual suspects, somewhat revenge here for the Tempest. They don't even get afforded that last opportunity as their retirement swan song. Essentially, they're departing as a team temporarily, it seems. But I mean, the Vulcans essentially here, and based on what we've seen in the first 30 seconds here, they're going a lot faster than what they were against the Shadows, and yet haven't put a foot wrong yet.
No, it's almost as if whatever analysis happened yesterday, it's done them the world of good. They're playing some really good Rocket League. As G-Wood looks to apply some early pressure here for the RAF Tempest. Samus with the whip. Remember, this is the last time we'll see these RAF Tempest players for 4 months as they all go away on various work-related activities. And I wonder what the new look Tempest side will look like come January, when we start the inter-service qualifiers for the next 2026 competition. And there's so much to look forward to between now and then as well. We have the BFBS Pro League LAN, we have the actual inter-service LAN to look forward to. We have an event away in London, which is a non-competitive event for the RAF Storm Shadows community, which will be a nice one as well for everyone to be up with and catch up in a non-competitive environment. And then we pretty much end the year and start the process again for Germany and for the inter-services, and who knows, maybe even another BFBS Pro League. Who knows? But so much to look forward to.
I can't believe you forgot one of the biggest thing on the RAF calendar as well too.
I feel bad now. What have I missed?
The RAF community votes. Best player, best coach, best community manager. That happens every Christmas time. Come on.
Well, to be fair, that is a part of the inter-service LAN now. That is a part of the evening at the inter-service LAN. So, we gather after day one of tournament play and we give out the awards.
I enjoyed the last 2 years, once.
you hopefully, who knows? Hopefully you'll be at the LAN yourself, so you can see who gets what award, and who knows, maybe even pick up an award for yourself.
I don't think I'll win one. What, 2 years ago I got one. That's me done and dusted. But you know, much about ourselves here and everything else. You know, about everything else that's happening. You know, we're already talking about 2026 here. You know, already here. You know, as that shot goes wide, I thought it may be creeping on in. I mean, Horizon's coming back, Vachi's retirement. You know, I mean, the potential talk on Cedric, stepping somewhat back away here. I mean, we've seen the last sort of 2 years properly of inter-service gameplay grow, and the fact that we're seeing some names fade away, new talent coming up, like the Falcons here. I mean, the argument we always sit here and say, each day gets better and better, or the growth is always there.
It's so exciting, isn't it?
We're seeing the elements of it here.
Yeah, it's so super exciting, and I speak from an RAF perspective. Obviously, you'll know that we confirm the rumors are true with Cash joining the RAF and alongside other top 100 players. It's taking our Rocket League level, to unimaginable heights. I mean, if you told me 4 years ago when I joined the RAF that I'd be in this position, a top 8 coach, having former pros joining the RAF, and the interest in joining our community Rocket League teams as big as it is now, from the higher echelons to the lower echelons that you're seeing on your screens right now, with the likes of the Vulcans and, well, not the Tempest, I guess, but, it's incredible. It's a dream come true, and the amount of headaches we're going to have in December, January, we're going to have to remake another 2 RAF teams, maybe even 3 with the return of the Tempests. It's a horrible headache, but it's such a blessing to have as well. And again, I must credit our wonderful community, from all the civilians that join us, like yourself, Danny, to all the fantastic players who, despite having a busy service life, managed to put the time and effort in to represent the RAF at the very highest level of Rocket League in the military. It's crazy. It really is.
Well, again, I mean, the fact that people tuning in, whether it's from work or, as you said, the military life, or at home on a Monday, just relaxing, coming back onto just to tune in. I mean, I know from the players' point of view, we've sat here from a manager or a coach or just a caster, seeing your name being shouted or in lights here, that's something special here. But I think Subi will want his moment in the time here, because the Vulcans, to be fair to them, has held out for about 4 minutes worth of gameplay here.
Yeah, I just realised that the score was 0-0. That was the first goal to break the deadlock. Subi! It is him. It always seems to be him. And with 14 seconds to play, well, the Vulcans will, I think, be the happier of the two sides. Despite potentially losing game 1, I think it's been an admirable performance.
Yeah, do you know what? I didn't think that you'll be that fortuitous at the moment here, but that element that was mentioned before we went live here on this match, that the Tempest to some extent may not have their full heart and soul in that here. It's not because they wouldn't be trying, but there's a difference, and I know Sego's watching. Of course, he's got that new job as well over at BFBS here, so obviously he has to be watching now. When you hit that sort of top level, and when you do decide to retire, and he'd probably laugh at me talking about that word, you have that sort of weird feeling, that sort of sense of you don't have to go for it, you don't have to put the hours in, you have a reason not to play. And to some extent, you actually enjoy it more than what you used to as a competitor, even though that you still want to fight and still want to compete. So for the Tempest here, they have the luxury, and hopefully tonight they'll have that feeling of whatever happens, they don't need to care about it. They can enjoy their game for what it is.
Exactly that, and each of them are sad that they're going to have to not be a team. Subi will break the deadlock here, and it is an early goal at this time for the RAF Tempest, and that should settle them even more. But they are, of course, they are all sad that this is the last time they get a run out, But they understand that's service life sometimes, and they're all excited to be back, refreshed, having had a break from the game as well, and be back stronger than ever come January, December. So, it's the end for now for the RAF Tempest, but a lot to look forward to for them going into 2026 as G-Wood looks to place that one into the roof of the net, but it was a good save in the end from the RAF Vulcans.
Joe, that shot's on target here, but I would love, as the competition will get on a wee bit here. who's going to take up the G Wood mantle, or the Sam is, because their strong personalities has been for some time. We talk about the G Wood demo and sort of that chasing game that the Tempest has made their own in the last 2 years. Here we just seen elements of it in play there. I mean, is the Falcons going to take over, or the Hurricanes going to bring it into their game to the point here where, is that becomes the new identity of it because the Tempest are no longer functioning?
Who knows? I mean, I know that Sam has taken a slight interest into coaching the RAF Falcons. He was there assisting them yesterday, for their replay analysis, and clearly it's benefited them, because this is a absolutely insane performance from his Falcons side. It's a strong 50 by Samez. G-Wood just creeps up, steals the boost, and leaves that one for Subi, whose touch a bit awkwardly back towards his own net, as in absolutely rifles it at G-Wood, but somehow is there to recover and make the save.
I think the RAF might just have a competition on coaching soon. You have Stanley, and maybe Sammers and yourself, Stelio. You've not left here. You've got your own team of threes already building up here.
Maybe, and never a bad thing. As you say, as the older generation of players fade out, the newer generation of players fade in, and they're going to need mentors and coaches, and that is exactly the way forward, I think. So to maximise their potential and their growth in a short amount of time, as Sammers doubles the lead.
As much as there's some teams this get referred to, and Stel and I are on to the commentary, and either inter-service or others. This isn't the RAF podcast, by the way. Operation Debrief will be surely happening soon for the RAF side of things. But if you're the Navy or the Army here, I mean, either to some extent here, you either got to find new players shortly or get their current ones up, because eventually the level will creep up and up and up here, where you don't want to be chasing from the mountain from the very bottom of it, because trust me, it's difficult enough as it is. But what here, they might have to beg for the rule change here. No, 1900 players soon here. That's how bad it's going to get here with the way your recruitment is here, Stale. We're going to have an all-RAF final for the next 2 years. We're going to have to blame you for that.
They do call me Jose Mourinho or Agent Stelios as well. I do what I do. Nah, I'm joking. Well, I must give credit to the likes of the Royal Navy Orcas and the Army Esports Rocket League scene as well, because they have, I think, made some strides, and especially the Falcons, who, I mean, you look at the start of this year, neck and neck with the RAF Storm Shadows, and then of course the Storm Shadows eventually, reclaimed I would say the favourite spot for the Inter-Service Championship, but not without a serious fight alongside the Army Esports Falcons. So, and I'm sure they'll still fancy the chances. The LAN will be exciting, and probably won't include the new players that the RAF have. And I think because even if they're getting quickly, I think they're still going to be going through their phase 1 training, which will make them ineligible to play at the LANs of the Pro League, and of course for the Inter-Service LAN. Now, it still will need the old guard, P and Cedric, and of course new stars like Envy to retain that title for the RAF. So it makes it very interesting.
Surely that changes at this point, because let's be fair, Envy's been playing a year now, established himself as a title-winning player here under the RAF banner, and suddenly if you have the likes of Fuber, say Kaish potentially taking over, maybe if Sterling shows on here, could knock Envy out of the top team out entirely here.
And that is a crazy statement to make as well, and that is the reality of Rocket League. But again, there will be a fair trial, to go for all of our incoming players, mixing with our established players, to hopefully get the best possible 5 or 6 RAF teams. And it will mean that the lower echelon teams get even stronger, and that just excites me further. But for now, I mean, who knows? Envy could still make that first team. He's a player that is only, he's at the beginning of his career still. He is, has the perfect attitude to improve at the game and the drive. And who knows? He may beat potentially P or Cedric or even VVUQ to that 3rd spot in the first team once Cash gets in. Who knows? There's no point talking about it. This is definitely a podcast topic because there's so much to discuss. So much to discuss.
There's so much of it, but we're just sitting here watching this game, and to many of you, it may feel like I'm sort of a background sort of podcast right now. The Tempest are showing exactly why they were the 2nd best team. They've ran not necessarily hoops around the Vulcans, but they've got the lead built from it and moved across on it. But, you know, the game is done and dusted. They know that. The Vulcans have, to some extent, you know, got to learn from this, and they know they're up in the upwards hill where, to the point of it. So hence, you know, I enjoy matches like this where we get to go into podcast style because, you know, we get to, you know, explore other conversations.
Yeah, I suppose so. And I mean, stay tuned. There may be another episode coming out at some point because there's clearly a lot to discuss. But that is the Tempest going 2 games to the good. Now, the Vulcans haven't been bad, by the way. They haven't been bad at all. They've had chances, and just solid defending by the Tempest have kept them out. But I think in any case, the Vulcans can be very happy with how things have gone so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing here in the gameplay where they're sort of sitting there and looking at and sort of going, you know, we're doing anything majorly wrong. They're just getting beat here by sort of silly mistakes, really, and that's maybe a bit harsh here this evening. But, you know, they have to, you know, you have to play it to understand what you've got to do here. It's, you know, sometimes we could sit here and say, well, it should have dropped back a bit, or, you know, he collected this boost pad on this particular moment here, or this is where the mistake occurs. It's quite easy enough when you can do it, but being in that moment, not half a second, much more difficult.
That is some finish by Elliot Greenwood, by the way. What a finish from that acute angle. The newly appointed 2IC of RAF Rocket League, showing what he's still got left in the tank, and I do look forward to seeing him back in action again when they return. That is some effort. As Subi and Lord Vile kick us off and Prof. Therese takes over the plane. I wonder what the Vulcans will be thinking. Would they be thinking now, if the Tempest were to stay on, that this is an achievable level for them? I don't know. I don't know what time will do for the Vulcans and how much it will improve them, because they've got a lot of potential. But as you can see, the Tempest are a different animal altogether.
To me, you know, the biggest upset in their calendar was losing the Shadows, what, 2-3 months ago.
Yep.
So, you know, for them right now here, this is, you know, their domain. It's, you know, for teams to play up to them here. For the Vulcans themselves here, this is a shot for nothing. You know, they shouldn't be looking at this here and saying, right, we've got to win this, but, you know, that's our old phrase of it. Would you rather be young, dumb, and make mistakes here, or old and experienced and afraid to make the mistake? How do you learn?
It is exactly as you say. It is now in these moments that the biggest learning happens. And with the gap between the Vulcans and the Storm Shadows being really big, I think they're going to have a tough time learning against. Well, I mean, I say tough time. They won't have the opportunity to learn against the Tempest. They're going to have to do it against the likes of the Shadows and the Hurricanes, which that is what I'm looking forward to. But they do find an equalizer here, and it does come by way of deflection, courtesy of G-Wood and Prof. Too Easy. And look at that, they have a way back in. We're all square again, it's 1-1.
If this goes 2-1 Falcons here, we might have to somewhat re-look at that sort of previous statement here. You know, it's a game of nothing here, perhaps, but I normally don't do this here, but just to make the man happy today here. Yes, MV did beat me in a game of twos a few days ago. Said it on broadcast as well too. I'm not ashamed when I get beaten, and I've said many times, including on the podcast, that he's one of the best players, if not the best player in the RAF. So there you go. You can hear me twice saying it as G-Wood knocks in another one.
I'll tell you what, the UK Armed Forces Player of the Year award is going to be exceptionally close this year, I must say.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I mean, remember, there's been some good players throughout the army. I mean, Onzer surely is in with a shout. Envy will be in with a shout, I think.
No, I'll say it right now here, and I don't care this causes argument. Envy has been the best player. No argument.
It's going to be interesting to see. And
No. They can look at my green title, look at my Liquipedia, and argue over my 15 years of experience. Well, you're more welcome to DM me about it. As much as I give RAF the hard time in terms of that Storm Shadows, Envy's been the best player this year.
He has had a very, very good year with the, Inter-Service Championship in his first year. Rookie of the Year, of course, in 2024. And as that one, looked dangerous for Prof. Too Easy, but Subi got round to make the save. And of course, that incredible display from the RAF Storm Shadows in Germany, finishing second and upsetting the Coast Guard the US Coast Guard to make the grand final was insane as Sully comes in out of nowhere. And it is 2-2 again. There is still life in the RAF Falcons. They haven't given up hope here. And the Tempest have gone from looking rather comfortable to a little bit more nervous. As we once again discussed, Danny, the specifics of the awards. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Without looking into it too much, yeah, Evie has had a really, really good year. But so has Cedric, and so has P, and so has Onza. And, you know,
I don't care if I get angry them and nobody talks to me. That's nothing new to me. Anybody knows me, if I go in to give a compliment, you know that I genuinely mean it. And to me, I don't see how Envy doesn't win it. I'm sorry to anybody else who's listening.
We shall see live at the LAN, hopefully in December. We'll see who gets crowned the UK Armed Forces Player of the Year. And of course...
I don't get a vote for that, by the way, I'm guessing here.
And of course, to see who actually gets crowned the Inter-Service Champions of 2025. That is what we're here to do right now in this summer qualifier. As Subi takes control of the ball now. Can the Vulcans spring somewhat of an upset here and get a game on the board? Give them something to fight for. They've been relatively in every game so far. I mean, this game in particular, and of course game 1 was very, very close. As Samas with a shot, and it commits 3 players. Subi out wide to the left. Prof too easy with the clearance.
There's a little sort of pause there between the sort of the two. And what is... I don't want to be rude to the Tempest here, but what is certainly evident here, they're not coming out with sort of full blast or full power here to some extent here, which we've seen them steamroll teams before. It's a very... it's not cautious, a gentle sort of style of the rotation they're playing here. They're essentially happy to run a 1-0, 2-0 sort of type game. It's just they've been caught out twice here to the point here. I think the RAF's got a new sort of DNA structure here, the way that Vulcans and the Tempest have set themselves up here.
2 very, very solid teams doing battle here live on the RAF channel. We are destined for an overtime unless the Tempest can grab a late winner here to see them through to the grand final. No, we are in to overtime. And Aaron, to answer your question, no, this is not the final game. This is the lower final. So after this, it will be the Storm Shadows to take on whoever wins and gets out of this series. Subi goes up, gets the flip reset, looks to go under Sully. But the challenge was very good for Sully, and up the pitch he goes. Can he centre? Yes, he can, but Sammers clears the ball, and Subi demos Prof.
Sammers to drop back here in the rotation, low boost on Subi, so it's a nice smart sort of drop in for the second and third man to essentially shift the play here for the Tempest. They've done that, and that's not the ideal touch, of course, there by Samus, and G Wood likewise. So it's Vulcans a counter-attack, and if they do go 1-1 in the series here, you know, suddenly you might have the feeling, and you'd be right to have this disbelief, because they shouldn't be close at all.
Maybe that is the case, as Sully comes up, and Lovawa look to meet the ball, gets there in quick fashion. Sames with the clearance away. Comes straight back though inside, and I'm so impressed by the way with the rotations of the Vulcans. They've improved so much in such a short amount of time, and if they continue in this vein and have a long career playing for the Royal Air Force Rocket League teams, they could be some team in a year or so's time if they keep putting in the work, if they keep developing, if they keep the same hunger that they have right now. This could be a sensational team in a year's time.
I just want them to know here, I'm normally not that nice to teams, so I hope they don't expect us every broadcast I'm on with them. Because you know what, here, the level they have displayed here, it's ridiculous. I mean, don't get me wrong here, I remember recently when I coached on a team 6 months ago with a bunch of 1500s. Again, when I was out the compliment, I seen my own goal.
Oh, the RAF Falcons bow out, but oh my god, did they give it a good go. And it was an unfortunate own goal in the end by Prof. I think he got decisive touch, and it is the Tempest who go through to the grand final. But Danny,
2-0, is it not?
No, I think that's it. I think the in-game. No, it wasn't. It was the in-game. It was the in-game overlay that had a bug, but the overlay for stream does say 3-0, and that was the third game indeed. It is the Tempest that progressed to the grand final. But a quick shout out as you continue to say, Danny, that was impressive from the Vulcans. And like I say, if they continue this hunger and this drive to improve, they could be a real problem for the Hurricanes and the Shadows. And who knows, maybe even the Storm Shadows into the future. It was good.
I was enjoying myself with that game there. I've forgotten it was 2-0 at that point. It says here the quality of it there. But a rematch nonetheless with the respectively so here the outgoing second seed against the top seed and defending champions. I mean, on paper it should be 4-0. I would love, however, a close best of 7 actually going the distance here still.
Indeed, and one more, I guess, thrust from the RF Tempest before we see them in 4 or 5 months' time now. We'll see how they will look to bow out in hopefully in style for them. Maybe even upsetting the RF Storm Shadows, who knows. We'll be back with you in just about 5 minutes to see the conclusion of the Inter-Service Summer Qualifier.
BFBS Forces News join KFOR patrols in the north of Kosovo.
We're here to create a safe and secure environment for the people in Kosovo and the people of Kosovo.
Our job, fly and fight from the home base, and we've got to be able to do that in whatever conditions.
This training is mutually beneficial to both sides. For the riflemen themselves, it's about getting that valuable training in the desert.
At the heart of Lympstone Parade Square, the King Squad. And there could be no more special guest of honour than His Majesty the King.
And whilst I'm not moving the controls at all, I can certainly learn from what I'm seeing as to how a manoeuvre should be flown.
This year, 337 recruits have completed training. That's a first-time pass rate of 99.7%, which is incredibly high.
So we have a philosophy on the ship called the Way of the Warrior Sailor. It argues that in order to create morale, you must love and value everybody.
This beam here came from HMS Indefatigable. The beams from the Armada were eventually integrated into the pub.
At BFBS Creative, we are creative storytellers. We are specialists in unravelling the untold, even from the most difficult locations. We help you reach the audiences you need to reach. From documentary interviews to addressing communication hurdles and crafting your content strategy, we can do it all. We thrive in the toughest environments, ensuring your stories are told brilliantly.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the RES Storm Shadows channel. I am once again joined by the immeasurably enthusiastic Roman in the commentary box this evening, Roman. And as you can see on your screens there, it is the RAF Storm Shadows taking on the Army Esports side. A fascinating insight into what we might come to expect in the inter-services. But for tonight, it's the Armed Forces Dungeon League. Let's get this show started.
Carries us forward, gets 50 with Fraz. Ed, get into that one. Envy tucks it away. And as I say, they need an opening goal. They have managed to get one here, 1-0.
Frazic, though, does some nice defensive work. But P finds Cedric. Cedric finds Envy. Beautiful stuff from the RAF Storm Shadows. 2-0.
Approximately a minute and a half left to go. Envy goes for a pass to P. P with a shot. P with a goal. Tucked away in the top left corner. 2-1 to the RAF Storm Shadows. And they are shining through here after the Army. They've struggled to rotate. They struggled to get into position after kickoff. And P managing to give the RAF Storm Shadows that advantage
Didn't
again.
have a lot to work with, didn't have a lot of the goal to aim at, but he put it in the one place that it was going to go to, and Cedric makes it 3! And the floodgates are beginning to open here for the RAF Storm Shadows. A great 30-second burst, and now they've just got to hold it, or even go for more.
Air power wins matches in Rocket League, and you can't tell me otherwise, as Ed will tuck that one away, and the Storm Shadows have the advantage here with 3 minutes left to go. Nothing about air superiority there. P just managing to get a pass across. A very strong 50 indeed, and Ed had an entire net to tuck it away. 1-0 to the Storm Shadows.
Welcome back, Danny, and the rest of you viewers watching this stream. Thank you so much for all your support on the stream so far. We are here, Danny. It is the final of the Inter-Service Summer Qualifier, the last one of the year before the actual Championship LAN itself. And it is the RAF Tempest looking to bow out of 2025 in style, Danny. Can they do it? Can they upset the Storm Shadows, or at the very least, give them hell?
Well, I hope it's give them hell here. The last thing that you want is to leave a pitch with regret, no matter what here. And, you know, for themselves here, it's a bit of pride, surely. While themselves here, do they show up and not care? I doubt that from the Tempest roster. They will give us something tonight, as well as the Storm Shadow in a giving mood this evening.
Indeed, and we will get straight to the action. It is the RAF Storm Shadows versus the RAF Tempest. One final dance for the RAF Tempest in 2025. We won't be seeing them for a good few months now, but can they do it one more time on stream as they take on the RAF Storm Shadows?
Well, at one point it was a talisman in the form of Envy that joined, and it caused a mighty shake-up. It may have saw the likes of G-Wood potentially losing a top spot on the white roster at the time, but he made, of course, the Tempest his own captain for years, mind you, when the likes of Logan and Aish was on it too. But Cedric himself, mind you, is not giving a rosy reception. It's all thorns.
The square dead zone, he was talking about it yesterday, and I didn't fully understand, but oh my god, do I understand now. That has the makings of a potential goal of the tournament. That was stunning. What a scooped effort from Cedric as the Storm Shadows take the lead. And immediately the Tempest behind and on the back foot as the Storm Shadows in search of a second.
That's a few mistakes, mind you. And Cedric's moving across here, back into the middle. It goes bump, mind you, and Subi right in under. Well, you want an inter-service grand final. How's this for an opening?
Well, this, of course, famously was the grand final last year at LAN, where famously the Tempest were within 1 minute and a half, just 90 seconds from being the 2024 inter-service champions. And they gave it a good go, and they eventually succumbed to the Storm Shadows, who had to work really hard for that title. And you can see why now, because they are going to take the lead. It is the RAF Tempest 2-1 to the good, and it's a 3-goal game. Even before the first minute is over, this one has got entertainment written all over it.
What started at once is a small sort of conference hall, potentially an electric area or arena where many would be surely chanting their names here, respectfully so. And so far here, the Tempest, you know, at some point here, I was guilty of thinking this myself and actually setting this up as the narrative of not really caring. They're going to be going bye-bye. Well, they're trying to say bye-bye to the Storm Shadows' defense in their championship here.
This is true, and in similar fashion to how the inter-service final last year started off, it was the Tempest storming to a 2-game advantage. And they're looking to do just that again, if not for the Storm Shadows coming back though, of course. There is still a mighty team in front of them. And the Storm Shadows already showed their abilities and their flair through Cedric as P knocks the ball past the last man. It was G-Wood who couldn't quite get there in time. And P bags the equalising goal. 2-2, all square.
It's also the first time really when Envy also was on the team itself there with his picture and was on the outside of the frame too. And it was that sort of case on how much nerves was going to be on the cross of it. We know we've debated this and we'll be getting certainly a talking to for the remaining 4 months of this calendar year of who is the best player right. I know where my voice has already been tickling the tonsils of where it will be here, but that ball has certainly found its way, grazing and caressing the woodwork once and twice there. But 2-2 for the opening here, and both sides here certainly not leaving this one the chance.
The night continues. The drama just getting started. Sames beats one. PA on the backboard. Up goes G-Wood. It's a nice shot on goal. Will it find the far corner? No, just wide of the mark. Subi takes control, takes his time, and Envy with a 50. Double commit for the RAF Storm Shadows. G-Wood with a nice first touch and a lump towards the centre of the park, but Envy was waiting. Gets a good first touch. Gets a skim. Will that find the net? And that is heartbreaking for Envy. P with the finish. Off the crossbar, down and in. And oh my god. Storm Shadows take the lead, but that could have been goal of the century on this channel.
Well, you know, sometimes you just have to play with the arrogance when you have the opportunity. And the Tempest defence, to be fair to them, was holding well enough to at least stop one shot, but not necessarily the barrage that was coming. But mind you here, you expected that for the defending champions, of course. Once, of course, the grand finalists lost to the Falcons recently, won it when they were, of course, in that moment. Respective first and second seeds, mind you, of the RAFs doing what they do best here, taking, as you rightly say, lumps out of each other.
Envy, nice first touch, deadly second, didn't even need a second. It's 4-2, and finally the RAF Storm Shadows have kind of given themselves breathing space and a bit of an insurance now in this first game. But if this first game is anything like the rest of the best of 7 in front of us, we are in for a show, and a good show that this Inter-Service Summer Qualifier has deserved. From the first day with the Vulcans, the Shadows, and then the Navy Orcas and Hammerheads in action, to now the finalists from 2024 doing battle again here. And of course, the last dance for the Tempests. It means there is so much on the line for pride, for points, for sentimental value for the Tempests. And it is so far delivering as G-Wood fakes the musty, looks to go underneath Cedric, but I think he just gets absolutely power drived away by Envy, who was rotating back towards his own net.
Just need one opportunity in these first matches. It's not the individual series, it's the games, and sometimes it's just that sort of blink and miss it moment, and Envy certainly caused a few of those ones. You've just got a question, when will the Tempest have theirs, respectfully so here? And you know, against the Vulcans, you know, there was that sort of sense of lacking of the team play that they've been famous for in terms of the demo structure, open it up and bang it goes here. And to some extent, the Tempest have allowed themselves to play with such, and I've been saying it, freedom. And it's a weapon when you get right here in that sort of bag of tricks you have, and you go, what do you plan against a side that don't care?
That's exactly it, and you can't really phase them. Like you said, they've got nothing to lose tonight, and they're playing like that. They're playing with a bit of freedom, the Tempest, and I like that about them. Like I said to them in chat before the game started, it has been a real pleasure watching them grow over the last couple of years. All of these players have been excellent, and I'm sure they will look forward just as much as I am to their return in 2026. But as they draw their RAF playing careers to a close for now, they are giving it everything to make sure they go out with a bang.
I'm sure for the remainder of this year, they'll be glad not to hear my voice anymore either too. They've been probably going, oh, Danny's so critical, when will they ever smile as well too? Well, at least tonight here, I will be smiling, not necessarily to see them go, because I always have been that side that has provided the biggest upset material. And I'm afraid that when they do disappear for the remaining 4 months, it's going to be a bit of a shame here, because they do have that quality that you want to see in a team. But so far here, they did lead, they did have threats, but it's no surprise, though. It is the RAF Storm Shadows lead by 1.
And a good, solid performance for the RAF Storm Shadows. I mean, if that flick by Envy went in, by the way, if that sideball went in, that could have been goal of the year, by the way. That was sensational. Fortunately, it didn't, and P followed up with a crucial finish, which gave them, I think that was the goal to give them the insurance factor, the 4-2. And it was enough to secure game 1 for the RAF Storm Shadows, who now look to take real control of the series. And if they can get a fast start here, you do begin to fear the worst for the RAF Tempest. But again, it's the same as the RAF Shadows. You don't write them off. This team is capable of anything. And I hope, even when they're not playing the game, I hope they keep that RAF Tempest tag in the game, because it looks really, really good. But as you say, Danny, we will thoroughly miss them for the next couple of months. And we will look forward to welcoming them back in 2026. But for now, they are still alive here in the summer qualifier as we start game 2.
I feel like the Tempest name might be ripped off them soon when the new tenants say they show up in 26. But Envy, on the other hand, is maybe the landlord of the pitch right now. He's got the keys to his particular apartment here, and it's right in front of Sam. Is done, dusted, gone here. So I think we might be fearing the worst here if things keep on track.
Well, it's another early goal, isn't it? It's another early goal, and the Tempest were the beneficiaries of the early goal last game. But no, actually they won. They went 1-0 down in the first game as well, so maybe it doesn't bode too well for them. Sorry, it doesn't bode too badly for them if they can recover here, as G would 1 versus 1 with Envy, but Envy does well. Subi looks to fake P and does just that. Envy looks in field now towards P, who looks to play back towards Cedric, but it didn't happen, and Samez reads that nicely. G-Wood cuts in field, gets a bump in true G-Wood fashion, and Samez will control this. Or watch Envy sideball into the middle. P with a shot, P off the post, and no follow-up, and the Storm Shadows still only 1 goal to the good.
How many times you want to have those opportunities afforded to the RAF Storm Shadows? At some point, you've got to essentially force them and back them away here, and so far here the Tempest has pushed them down into their own half here. Chance will be gone here. Envy up and P, lack of boost, mind you. So if that was onto the legs of the Samus car here with nobody in the defensive zone, you would have maybe been looking at 1-1.
Instead, it's more Tempest's pressure. Samez will pick up the ball here, centers towards Subi. Subi rises, as does G-Wood. Oh, it was a double commit, and I saw why it happened. But you can't afford to make that mistake against this level of opposition. It's 2-0. The Storm Shadows double their advantage, and they really, really will feel hard done by it. They will think they could have been 1-1 right now, the Tempest, but instead, a sucker punch at the other end. And the lead is doubled.
Yep. And unfortunately, that's what you got to fear. But you're the Tempest is given that sort of type of situation, and well, do you know when you have signs it's not your day, you should get off the game? I've been having that myself the last 2 nights, by the way, at 17, 50 and 2s. Thanks, Envy, for ruining my little run. As that one's again off the bar here, and looks like Samus was there on the bench of saving it here. 3 attempts off the woodwork, and the 4th one essentially a goalkeeper save. How many more chances do you want here?
Yeah, as you say, they're creating the chances, they just don't have the boost or the clinicality in them to put them away, and it's just not happening for them right now in front of goal. But other than that, I don't think the Tempest are playing badly.
You can look as pretty as much as you want here, but when you get home here, you want to be able to take your shoes off and relax. You have to, unfortunately, have the ballroom dance with the princess here. Put the ball home, lads. Come on.
It's just not clicking in front of goal. It is the only missing piece right now for the RAF Tempest, because I believe they have everything in this to cause some damage to the RAF Storm Shadows, who themselves are clinical and have made chances and have scored. And Envy goes up for another sideball, connects with it as well. He's becoming so consistent at that. Reminds me of another certain former professional player joining the RAF who hits those for fun. As P will put that away for 3. And it's, yeah, I think this game is all but done now. And the Tempest will start looking ahead to game number 3.
Like you're talking about me there, sorry. Yeah. It's ridiculous how some players can get the skim. Just,
it is. It is.
Yeah. Do you know what the frustrating thing is? And I was sitting there saying this with a former coach as well too the other night. Sometimes you just have to hit the ball hard, as much as you see the mechanics and everything else too. And the game's got to the point here you need the mechanics to play it near enough at a high level and be competitive, which is to some extent here, you gotta appreciate what you're watching.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. And mechanics will get you so far, but as we said with the likes of the Vulcans players, you need to have the game sense to match that, and that's what the Vulcans did really well tonight, as Cedric buries that into the top right before. And that is what the Storm Shadows have in abundance. They all have incredible mechanics, but importantly, the majority of the time, they are using those mechanics well. They do it at the correct moments, at the correct times. And that is the difference between the likes of the Storm Shadows and currently teams like the Shadows, Hurricanes, and the Vulcans.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here just reading the chat between the two lads, or two sides, and you sort of going, they're relaxing a grand final, which also irritates me, by the way, but that's always just going to be me. I want sort of the bloodhounds or on for the hunt sort of type thing, and when you have envy in that sort of type of mood by the same of it, as much as game sense, and this is where I'll somewhat disagree with you here. They all have the game sense here. It's the mechanics that will set them apart here. We talk about that sort of finishing in the final third here. It's what you make it special. Case in point.
Oh, that is a sensational finish. Awkward bounce off the sidewall, and Envy plays it into himself off the crossbar. Down and in. Incredible from the RAF Starlet. Absolutely superb.
Yeah, but can he do it on a cold night in Stoke, though?
Well, we'll find out at the BFBS Pro League LAN, live from Stoke-on-Trent.
It's almost like that was set up there. Hope you enjoyed that one at home.
And you didn't even give me any warning for that as well, and I still clocked onto it. Love it. Chemistry in the commentary box.
Well, you think after 4 years we would have something together.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It has been. Has it been that long?
It must be.
Well, I've been in the RAF for 4 years and a few months. So.
Well, we'll say 3 then, potentially.
3, yeah. 3 is about right. That is incredible, by the way.
Insomnia 69 would have been with Migrant, Hopper, Envy, and P, so that would have been, what, 22? Or would have been 23? Trying to remember here. That's the problem when you have 15 years of experience. It's a blended in here. I'm quite happy to look this up here.
I think it was 2022, I believe. I don't know. I think it was. So I remember casting you. I remember casting with you.
I wasn't playing there, that one.
By the way, there is talk, by the way, in the chat right now of potential FF, but it is a joke. They are going to play it through and attempt to have one last hurrah. Because they have been good, I think, attempts. They have been good. They have just been outclassed a little bit, though. But as you say, I'm not sure they'll care too much. They're just having fun out there. Having made the final, scored points, and represented the RAF Tempest's name one more time in a positive light. That's all they can do, and as they try to fight back here against a clinical RAF Storm Shadow side.
Yeah, well, I'll go even further back here because it's up here, and I knew why it sticks in my head as 22. By the way,
go on.
It's a double-end story here of it. I don't think I tell the full version on broadcast for certain details. But Endpoint CAX was playing at the time the RGN White team. That's what it was signed up as back in the day on the official.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
Hopper, Migrant, and Flick was the lineup.
Flick was ESP.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What a throwback.
And the reason why that stuck in my head here, and I don't care, we'll let the play goes on. Welcome to the podcast, everybody, this evening. It was the female team of Endpoint, Snumpy, Tahar, and Alanis. And a certain name from the RAF community offered an outside verbal talking to after being demolished by a certain bit of ended up for them becoming friends at the end of it, and that's how we became casting at the end of it.
Really? I can't remember this story. It was so long ago. Was it the Insomnia? I think I was even there.
So that was I-69. You were there for I-71 when Pluto played under Husky.
That was it.
That
was it.
I-70 or that there would have been during COVID, which got cancelled at that point in time.
That was it.
So then about after I-69, which would have been what 2-3 weeks ago here, and this is we're talking about history and everything else and the liturgy of things. Psycho got offered to hop into the casting booth, and I think the week later after that as well too.
Incredible. Wow, that is a major throwback. And I mean, the Tempests have taken the lead here as Envy goes for a musty.
Who cares about them? Everybody's only want to listen to us commentators.
Nah, we gotta save it. We gotta save it for the podcast because there's so much to discuss. I mean, 2 Storm Shadows players go flying for the ball there. That was mad to watch as Subi off the ceiling. Delays the flip, goes high, Samus is there, and if not for the save of Cedric, it would have been 2 goals to the good for the RAF Tempests.
Welcome to the coverage, as some would say. Well, goals are flying in here. We're sitting here counting our grey hairs as the seconds go on by. Well, the save, mind you, here, and as much as the Tempest was, jokingly talking about hoping can we change it to BO5 or BO3, let's call it done and dusted here. It's always been this rather fighting style here to play against the sign-up. I mean, last year, we talk about the history dimension itself. They were 2-0 up against the side. Envy's first real ever, LAN experience and everything else here. Suddenly now, they're the side dominating 2-0, and the Tempests are the ones coming back here. Deja vu, maybe the other way around here.
Indeed, there is the shot from Subi! And they do bag a second, and they do have insurance now for the RAF Tempests. Fine finish, by the way, after being teed up wonderfully by Sames. And Charlie says, we still have the AFEI content to publish. We do, we have the podcast too. I mean, what's the hold up on that? Is it Ed needs to send that to you, does he? I think we're still trying to find a way to send that to you. I'm not sure how. I think the files are massive. But yeah, when they go out, those podcasts are really cool to watch and really fun to watch as well. I'm glad we filmed those in the end, looking back at things now. But for the moment, it's Tempest who are putting on a show and fighting back here against the RAF Storm Shadows.
Certainly are, and as much as we can sit there and debacle a 2-0 lead, suddenly severed in half here, and at some point here, you have to sort of wonder when will P get fed up here, passing the ball to Cedric and Envy here. At some point, he might want a goal.
Maybe, but he is a player that just loves feeding his teammates. He loves winning, is what he does. He loves winning, whether that's him scoring or his teammates scoring, he doesn't care. He's indifferent to that. He just cares about winning, and that is an important benefit. That's a fine move from the Storm Shadows as well. And it was well watched and well saved by Sames. As Cedric, with a nutty skim, P rises to meet it, fakes for Envy, and just like that, the Storm Shadows back the second, and we are back to all square, as it was 3 minutes ago. And what a skim. What a fake by P. And Envy, cool as a cucumber, slots it in.
Don't forget, before, really the start of this evening here, we didn't have that sort of off-stream match as well. That was these very 2 teams. It was a 3-0 result. We don't actually have at least myself here, the outright scoreline of them. But, you have a sense here, was it as close or was it as well fought here, or has the RAF stepped it up in terms of the Storm Shadows? It's 3-2, so a 5-goal swing essentially here.
Indeed, a 5-goal swing, and that fine first touch from Envy sets him up for the deadly second touch. 3-2 with 1:30 on the clock. You begin to fear the worst for the RAF Tempest now. They fought hard to remain competitive in this series, and they have been excellent, almost perfect at times. They just don't have the goals to show for it, as P steals that one for himself. Cedric will be fuming with that. I mean, ask me how I know, because I've done it to him in solo queue many times. Not a fan. And look, there he is in the chat. You see it in the top left. Guts, the frustrated figure with that goal being stolen away from him. But it is surely going to be 4 championship points here. Or tournament points, I should say, for the RAF Storm Shadows. If not for a dramatic miracle-like comeback here for the RAF Tempest. They have time for it, but it's not looking likely.
No, it's far from it. And, you know, as much as we would love to see it being getting sort of closer and closer, I think the great debate is that when did you decide to start queuing ranked style? Where was my invite?
You know, having a blue tag now in game, you know, I'm just different now, you know? I've changed.
Yeah, I've got a green tag as well. It's rare.
That's true. I mean, they don't hand those out, do they, anymore? You can't get that tag, right? Anymore.
No, you really can't. There's a lot of casters in the scene really, shall we say, unhappy that they don't have it, and even more unhappy that I've got one. So, haha.
Do you know why that's the case? As Samus puts that away for 4-3 to set up an interesting 30 seconds or so.
Well, when you're one of the world's best commentators myself, they clearly don't deserve it.
But like, do you know why they stopped, you know, giving out the attack?
No, I love how you brushed past that. You knew that wasn't my actual answer. I don't know.
Ah, okay.
I think they moved it on to just majors only, or actually LAN events here. But there's a few LAN casters that still never have received it, from my knowledge. So, so I don't know would be the short answer, but you know, I like to think mine's was like a, you know, the equivalent to a British OBE here of years of service.
Well, it
so,
will be. I imagine it will be something similar to that. I don't know what the logic behind it is, but hey, you got one. And that was heading in, by the way. That was heading into the back of the net, but the Storm Shadows survive and take a 3-0 series lead, which means this could be the last game we see of the RAF Tempest for 4 or so months, and the last time we see the RAF Storm Shadows in action until, of course, well, the next show match, I guess, or the next BFBS Pro League LAN. Who knows? I mean, they'll have plenty of games to play between now and then. The Tempest can feel hard done by a little bit. I think they could at least have one game on the board here.
Yeah, and finally, you know, I agree with the Storm Shadows for a change. They want to change it to potentially a best of 9 or 11. So, yeah, sure, let's change it to the best of 17. Let's do it like the Crucible.
Right. That's all right. I'll just, I can't even get that to reflect on the broadcast assistant. So.
Well, just change it to the numerical value of it here, because you know, we've got plenty to talk about clearly here. But yeah, you know, defending champions here on, you know, essentially 4 match points. It hasn't looked in terms of close, in terms of the ability of the Tempest to actually see it out. They have been, you know, there and thereabouts here on the least scoreline front. But other than that here, are we likely to take a game off them? No. Is the reverse sweep looking possible here at all? Definitely not would be my response to it. So I think at this point here, I think the Tempests are just happy to probably see the next 5 minutes out here.
One last hurrah for the RAF Tempest. Can they make history and reverse sweep the RAF Storm Shadows? Or will their night end in defeat? G-Wood with a shot at goal, and what a save by Envy. How on earth has he got in the way of that one? Destined for the top corner. As he plays it down the line for P to flick infield. Envy climbs, fakes for P. P drops it down onto underneath the crossbar. Cedric did climb for it, but couldn't get there. And now up comes G-Wood, 50s one. Looks to demo, Cedric or Envy. Couldn't quite catch it, but that's a fine skim by Samez. And somehow, again, Envy was there. And it's still 0-0 somehow as we approach over the first minute of play.
How much the Tempest would love to have one in here just to silence the particular, shall we say, horrible situation that has been put across them here as Envy. Well, he's not going to be saying no to that one. That's 1-0. And essentially for the next 4 minutes here is can the Tempest stop the retirement party, essentially.
He wasn't going to miss that one from that kind of range. The goalkeeper did enough to get a touch on it, but it wasn't enough of a touch to divert the ball wide of the back of the net. Samez comes forward for the RAF Tempest. Nice cut, nice block. Up goes Subi, drops it down, but Cedric, with lightning reactions, got there in the nick of time. As Subi keeps the press alive inside the RAF Storm Shadows attacking third. Envy with a chain touch off the wall, but it's a good bump on Envy by G-Wood. A bit more aggression now is the order of play for the RAF Tempest. Oh, that's a horrible pass. Up goes Envy, drops it down off the post and away by the combination of G-Wood and Envy. That was a fine soda play. He goes up in the air again, leaves it for Cedric. Good communication between the pair of them. But instead of another goal, it's more robust defending from the RAF Tempests.
I thought we were right. That was sort of the famous words of the F1 commentator, Mr. Walker, and the sort of lights and away we go there. The way Stelios was setting that up, and I wouldn't blame him there. The way Envy's approach towards the ball was a Cedric shot going, well, fairly to the corner flag, essentially that time around here. But it is, you know, see ball, boom ball, run away ball. You know, they don't have to do much here. It's the Tempest has got to play out essentially with their backs against the wall here.
Unless, of course, whilst they have their backs against the wall, whilst they are an injured animal almost, they can still be lethal, they can still be dangerous. They've shown enough here tonight to take a game easily. They've just got to find a goal, a moment of inspiration. Cedric with a miss. Sames awkwardly on the backboard with limited boost, but does well. Clever play by Sames. P off the right hand side ball. Cedric's there, meets the ball, and a fine save once more by the captain of the RAF Tempest. A historic captain of the RAF Tempest, of course, formerly of the RAF Storm Shadows, G-Wood. Wonder what his thoughts are right now as they'll go into a 4-month hiatus. Subi away, Sames collects the ball, his own backboard. NV knocks infield. Subi limited boost, but gets there and smashes it against the left-hand side wall. P rises, flicks it towards his teammate NV. Sames intercepts. Back and forth here between the two sides. Cedric looking for an interception. It's good play. Sames picks it up. Limited boost, so has to let NV clear. As we are now inside the final 2 minutes of play. Will there be a twist in the tail? Will there be an RAF Tempest fight back? Well, Danny, kick us off for this last minute and a half and let's find out.
Well, you would be guilty so far here with the quill and the parchment's been rolled up here, and that demo is maybe a blob on it here. Straight down for the Cedric touches to Envy. That's found the 1-2P, unfortunately. It's on the underside of the pitch here, cuts directly in front of the entirety of the Tempest. Nobody decided to stump or bump here. High ball to the backboard here. Envy shot in. Cedric may have unfortunately bumped them off at 60 seconds is left on the clock. Well, if they are going to give it a go, it has to be now.
G-Wood looking to play it back to Subi. Takes control of the ball. Chain dash, looking for a wave dash onto the wall there. Cedric flicks goal bound. Sames has to cut the ball to get it away. Double commit from Sames and G-Wood. So Subi now. Well inside the final minute of play. Cedric looking to make it awkward for Sames, who does read it well. The block from Cedric threatened like it was going towards Envy's car, which is not what you want in that environment if you are the Tempest. That's a nice flicked effort on goal. Sames is there! Crossbar down! Surely and in, but not for the fantastic save by the captain of the RAF Storm Shadows, Cedric, who flicks it just wide of the mark, and on the counter-attack sets up the goal with 17 seconds on the clock. A fitting end to a super series and a super run for the RAF Storm Shadows. The Tempest on their final bow out, give it a good go. They fought hard, but they just didn't have enough to lay a glove on the RAF Storm Shadows, who progressed to the LAN, to the Championship LAN. The heavy favourites, if I may say so, to retain their title, knowing the dangers of the Army, knowing the dangers of the Navy and the other Royal Air Force teams. They know what they need to do now. They faced it all again, and it's all about now December and if they can retain the Inter-Service Championship. We hope to see you there. But what a performance from the Storm Shadows, and what a goodbye we have for the RAF Tempest, who have been fantastic to watch over the years, and we look forward to welcoming them back in 2026, Danny. And it's been a fun couple of days.
Certainly has been. We've had literally the newcomers themselves. You know, usually when that's sort of like a phoenix, once it burns, the new one comes from its ashes. The Tempest will certainly feel its feathers hit to the verbal floor, and the Vulcan certainly has came from it. But it is, mind you, the old wise head itself here, the Storm Shadows. Well, not just the first time, the outright defending champions of the Inter-Service, the back-to-back in terms of, you want to say, the equivalent of the RLCS regional, shall we say. They've got their 2 wins on the board. Is just the question, and can they do it when it really matters, of course, in the LAN? But essentially, mind you, on a calendar's point of view, nearly, about 30 days, give or take, this particular lineup. Many others, like maybe the Tempest as well, the Shadows, and as you said, the Army and the Orcas, and a few civilians, BFBS as well too, who's going to lift that trophy. So perhaps this is maybe things to come.
Yep, and on that note, an exciting month ahead as you said, there's the 3 RAF rosters, the Tempest, who will be there. That will be their true final hurrah of this was the goodbye on the RAF channel. But they now will officially disband, but will reconvene. 2/3 of them, Sammers and Subi, will take part in the BFBS Pro League line, and that's them done until 2026. But them and the Shadows and the Storm Shadows will now prepare for the BFBS Pro League line, as Danny Boy stated, and then post that. We go into full preparation mode for the Inter-Service Championship in December. That's where our focus turns to now. But from myself and Danny, we thank you again for making this Inter-Service Championship Summer Qualifier as good as it has been. We will now go and do the maths, and we'll update you all in the Discord server as to who exactly has qualified from each service. But again, for joining us and for supporting the stream and for supporting the service level Rocket League, we once again thank you all for having us and for enjoying the stream. And we'll see you all in about I guess next week for some more streams. Take care and good night.